Welcome y'all to the Blackhoof Saloon, a Wild West Exodus podcast. Mosey on up to the bar and get yourself a bottle of firewater or a glass of sarsaparilla and listen to some good old yarns about adventures of law dogs, outlaws, and weird creatures. So set a spell, water your ride or your rider, and get ready to tune up your posses. This is the Blackhoof Saloon.
Howdy, howdy, all you buckaroos. That's right, we're going back to the beginning. This is Eric here, and we are back. I'm back with Tom and Brian. How you guys doing? It's been a little while, right?
Yeah, how you been?
Doing good. I'm actually fairly busy with everything being shut down. I don't know how that is. I think it's, being a male person that we didn't even get a break in anything. So
I was going to say, everybody else shut down and you ramped up.
Yeah. And
me too.
But we're back. We kind of took a little bit of break in the summertime, and it has been a while. Our little break turned into a pandemic break, and then it turned into us learning new technology and just being busy in general and getting our schedules to sync up again. But I think with the weather changing a little bit, we're doing less outside work because I don't care about the yard right now.
Well, for me, it's the kids going back to school. I don't have to teach my kids crap anymore.
That's true.
You were homeschooling, so that was
in the spring.
Your big distraction.
Yep.
I didn't have that.
My daughter went off
Lucky.
to college, so I've been running back and forth, making sure she got settled correctly, and then a hurricane.
Yeah. You had more than normal people's disasters happening by you.
Right. Yeah. We got like two different big scares. And so, we brought her home and then had to take her back. So a couple of my weekends got, kind of spent in the car.
Yeah. Driving across our nation.
No, just Texas to Louisiana.
And there's always those couple of nights where we plan to do record, but I fall asleep. That doesn't help.
Old man.
Yeah, I wasn't going to rat you out there.
That's what happens when we get that little bit of silver in there, in the beard and in the hair. We start needing those earlier bedtimes.
I gotta shave so no one knows how old I am.
Drinking his milk.
Drinking his milk, yeah.
Chocolate.
Well, if you ever get to that point where you got to take that afternoon nap, like the Huxtables, I can't even say his name, Bill Cosby, the old show. That was one of the things that he always took a nap in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, he must be old. He's taking naps.
Oh, I envy naps.
But what have we been working on since we've had so much free time in between shows? It's kind of tough with everything, kind of just in the world. There's not much going on. I know, Brian, your pile on your desk has been slowly growing. You're working on.
I took advantage of some neat buys. Another player picked up a couple of sets, and he quickly realized that he didn't need them, and so he was looking to offload. So I was able to pick up the Dead or Alive posse set, which I didn't need. I only needed Lilith Hart. I had the rest of the posse, and because he only wanted Triple T, I already have him. So I was like, I could, if he gave me a good enough price, I'll buy it and have all these extras. And he had the God Only Forgives.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Unload them both, and he gave me a good enough deal on both of them. I was like, it was worth me spending to pick up a complete posse that he wasn't keeping any of the figures, and then the incomplete Dead or Alive. And it mainly was just to get Lilith Hart, who I'm actually painting right now.
You ended up actually getting rid of stuff, didn't you, Tom?
I sold my Union. I realized, I had all that Union stuff, and I realized that I was just never going to get around to it.
Yeah.
The one thing that was not included in that sale were all the iron horses that I picked up, because there were plans for those iron horses,
Mm-hmm.
and they're making their way down towards Mr. Powell by freight train. They hop the train. They're trying to get down there. I think they're trapped in a box car right now.
Right. So the plan is to put them together with Custard to basically finalize the dream of seeing them on the table as a full
Tom's dream posse, right?
Yeah, if you go back to what was that, the second episode? That was early.
That was very early on. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I think that goes back as far as somebody's infernal investigation posses that he was always bringing up.
Yep. So, Brian's going to make the dream happen.
Right. So I do actually need one thing that would actually help that dream come about is I already have Custard, and I don't really need to buy another Forlorn Hope just to get another secondary Custard. But if there's anyone out there who has that spare Custard and you're not going to do anything with it, let me know. I would be interested in picking up just him. Yep. I will not build him. I will be kit bashing him into a mounted version of himself. But if you have the parts and you're not going to be using them, let me know.
Yeah, you have quite a few of the different models that you kit bashed, and they turned out pretty good. You got a lot of patience for that green stuff and
yep.
moving them.
I'm showing the boys my kit bashed Doc Holliday, who's
with his turned over table,
broken card table behind him, made of balsa wood, and then he is actually holding a hand of cards instead of his belt. So one of his hands is on his guns, and the other one is
I like that. That's a good version of the model instead of him pulling up his britches.
Yeah. So it looks like he just got finished with a winning hand in a shootout.
Yeah. So other than that, I picked up some order posses.
That's right.
I've got Portal Vanguard, I've got Divine Intervention, and I've got some other pieces around that. Spike and the Tumbler. It's a smaller group. I think I need to stick with smaller posses. So that's all I've gotten. I haven't gotten any work done on anything. I've just been living the dream this summer with, the spring teaching kids going into the summer. We're both my older kids were both playing lacrosse all summer.
Yeah. So
just running around doing that and just house projects and trying to fix the house and painting rooms. And I've had plenty of busy time. None of it included hobby time. So trying to carve out some time for that.
Yeah, I've been kind of in the same boat. I had a lot of projects that I started back when Adepta Can't basically happened. I kind of dropped all my projects because everything was kind of hitting the fan. And I kind of want to get back to those projects. And the three of us have actually talked about trying some different stuff with the podcast. And you guys that are listening can chime in. We kind of, with our time off, we were exploring video options and streaming options, and we talked about doing different projects, and we'll talk a little bit about that, I think, towards the end of the show. But we wanted to try some different stuff to get us, kind of back and motivated into working on different things and kind of challenge ourselves and each other's. But that's kind of just a little bit of update where we all were. Yeah, we took a break and just it was hard to get back into it. And we're back, and I don't know, I'm kind of excited about trying some different stuff with the show. And I know it's something we all talked about for a while, and we did experiment with some hobby video. I think we want to kind of try that again. So, but enough of our intro. We were saying how we were going to keep this short. You guys want to jump into our new Smoke-Wagon Showdown?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
You button.
What?
Tom's back on mute. All right, let's get into the Smoke-Wagon.
Go ahead, skin it. Skin that smoke wagon and see what happens.
Listen, mister, I'm getting awful tired of your...
I'm getting tired of your gas. Now jerk that pistol and go to work. I said throw down, boy.
Okay, today for our Smoke-Wagon Showdown, we are calling this the Jetpack Joust. And the characters we're going to cover today in this, I don't want to say knockdown in the street, because these gals are going to be flying around the saloon and stuff. And we're going to take a look at Helena Miller from the Law Dogs there, the Infernal Investigation, and Lilith Hart of the Outlaws. She's one of the newer posses that just came out. That's a bunch of mercenaries. So I know Brian is just foaming at the mouth to talk about Helena, because I know how much he's used her. And so he knows her very well.
Well, that could wait and do her next.
No, I know. You want to talk about her.
Well, I'm in the middle of actually painting Tom's Helena Miller's Jetpack Exhaust and Lilith Hart's Jetpack Exhaust. So,
It seems
I'm actually going back and forth from the two models as I'm working on the exhaust of their flight pad. So,
and one of the neat things I liked about Helena, and I think, Tom, me and you have mentioned this before in the show, is that she is Wild West Exodus version of the Rocketeer.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to just find like an old Rocketeer head off a toy or something, chop it off and hang it off her belt or something.
And my model, I started doing that with mine, using like plastic card and one of the Terminator's helmets for her mask.
Me and Eric talked about what we could do, and we both were like, hey, we have extra Terminator helmet. So we both started sculpting a new a Rocketeer-esque type helmet.
Nice.
And
I'm totally going to paint her with the
Rocketeer colors.
Yeah, the khaki pants, and I think he had like a kind of a red coat. And
yep, it's there's a perfect color for that coat. I use it for leather a lot. Actually, it's almost like a red leather looking color.
Yeah. I think one of the old Games Workshop like tan flesh was that reddish tone.
There's an army painter color that I actually think they call it a brown, but it's very red. If I can, I'll pull it out later and let you know what it is, because it's the perfect color.
But we're gonna go ahead and start with Helena. Are you ready, Brian? You want to jump in with Helena?
All right. So Helena Miller, lawman boss for the Infernal Investigations posse. Her traits are boss, lawman, human, female, marshal, infernal affairs, flight, and agent.
All right.
Shouldn't she be a law woman? I'm just saying, lawman seems very sexist.
Law person?
Law person.
Well, it's soon followed by female, so it's all right there.
Okay.
So you know me, Brian. I'm Mr. PC.
So she's got a fortune of 4, which is pretty good. I mean, that's a lot of fortune to play with, and she cost 180 points and is unique. 180. It's been a little while. Is that a lot for a boss, Brian?
No, that's
average.
That's competent for a boss. I mean, some of the bigger, heavy hitting bosses are 200. Now, I'm sure, like yourself and many of the other enlightened players, is probably going to argue that Helena should be more if she has to fight the enlightened. But 180s under the 1.09 card update, they 180s is still, that's pretty good. There's not very many bosses over 200, so
yeah, for straight bosses. I mean, when you start looking at legendary ones, you'll creep up there a little bit more.
Yeah, and not all of them get to 200.
Yeah,
but there's a few that do. She's in a good spot where she's at, point wise, cost wise. So her stats, with the quickness of 5, obviously with flight that is a little bit different.
Yeah.
So, in between jetpacking, she's just got a regular speed. She has a mind of 7, aim of 6, grit of 6, fight of 6, and a limit of 3.
Okay.
So nothing really crazy there. The mind of 7 is actually a bit above average. The 6 is in all the combat stats is pretty good, a little bit above average. So she's capable, but not a sharpshooter in any of those, regards.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that little bit above average. So
right, and some say 6 is basically average for a face or a boss. I mean, that's not where she shines. So we'll move on to some of her more shining parts. So let's go over her weapons. She's a lawman, so she starts off with lasso, and it's a ranged weapon with tangle, special, refined, and on crits, she can drag the target.
Okay.
Range of 6 inches, 0 pierce, and a rate of attack of 1. Okay. Pretty much. The key here is if you're within 6 feet of someone, she can hit them with the lasso, and if she crits, she can pull them toward her. So it's kind of a neat thing, especially if you're trying to pull someone out of coherence, or maybe you want to pull someone close to where she's at currently to get them into engagement, which takes away some of their abilities.
Or she's got some backup standing right next to her that's going to activate and just pound on her.
That's right. Maybe 20/20s with her, and bringing in someone close. I don't know how likely it would happen. She can pull him close, he can hit him, knock them back. She can lasso him, pull him close, he can knock them back. I don't know how many times you want to do that, but it would be kind of funny.
Dirty.
Her next, basic lawman feature with their next weapon is the Iron Aspeton. So it's a melee weapon with parry and stun, pierce of 1, and rate of attack of 1.
That's I can already see some of the tactics with her with the flight. She can fly in, drop next to somebody, and stun them, and it's pretty effective of shutting down somebody's plan.
Right. Then, of course, we're talking about where she shines, and the horror of the Enlightened is her next weapon, which is the Tesla Storm Throwers. Ranged weapon, they have Disrupt, Linked, Close Work, and on a crit, they gain Fatal. So these pistols have a 10-inch range, pierce of 2, and rate of attack of 3.
3 that you can...
Kind of like a rapid-fire pistol, right? Man. So we've got 2 of them, so that's why they get to 3. But Linked allows you to re-roll some misses.
Yeah.
Which, what does that do? That takes away the detriment of being forced to re-roll stuff. So if you miss on the first roll and then hit on the second roll, those are coming at you. There's no way to, shroud those, and there's no way to, force you to re-roll those. They are what they're going to be, right?
Yeah.
You can't force a re-roll of re-roll.
Yep.
The Disrupt is, it's harsh against creations and machines. So, she is very brutal with the pistols against Enlightened, many of the Enlightened, models, as well as up against like machines, right? So look out if that's what you're bringing. It can get pretty
I'm looking at enlightened stats right now and just shaking my head because every one of them, machine, construct. I'm just like, yeah, okay. I'll just take my ball and go home.
Right. What does disrupt do to them?
It disrupts them.
Yeah.
They pick up stun and disordered.
Yeah, that's
it's
a double whammy.
It's a double whammy. And of course, close work means if she does pull someone close, she can blast a creation in the face.
Yeah, combine that with that lasso. Ooh wee.
Yep.
That's like one of those instances that you can use that ranged weapon up close.
Yep. That linked with those rerolls. Also remember that gives you rerolls, which means you have another chance to get that fatal back up again.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Which the fatal is the new, go through the Mack truck engine thing, just
right.
Goes through anything. All right. So let's look at her common rules. Should we go back to the old Tom? You want to do the common rules?
Yup, I'm here. She's got metal, the quick and the dead, largesse, target priority, agile, and moving target. So that to me seems just awesome that she already has all those other survivability traits that a lot of bosses have. With the metal and the quick and the dead. Now you're throwing moving target on there, so now she's harder to hit. Pretty awesome survivability there. Yeah,
the target priority that helps too.
What does agile do? I don't remember what agile does.
It's sometimes given to a model because it makes sense that they have it, but may not actually grant them much. So agile is like you can make your physical rolls for like movement and stuff, or falling from climbing and stuff like that. It
passes quick checks for climbing, jumping. It may re-roll failed grit checks from falling. So gives her some more chances at succeeding at those things.
But she flies.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's going to come up much for her because she's not going to do much climbing because she didn't need to.
Yeah.
but let's say she flies on top of a building and someone pushes her off.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's less likely to. She'll have a better shot of landing in the ground and not being harmed. So.
Yeah, her big rocket jetpack won't weigh her down. Kunk.
Yep.
All right. Really, that's more of an if you watch the Rocketeer, it's more of a helmet issue.
Yeah.
You spend half the movie bouncing around the ground, right?
Well, maybe that's why she's just wearing the goggles. All right, so let's go over her meat and potatoes, the special rules. She's got Tin Man, so this unit gains +1 grit while within 6 inches of a friendly marshal or sheriff unit, not including themselves. She may use her mind attribute of any friendly marshal unit within line of sight of this unit for yeller checks.
Right. So Tin Man is one of the lawmen, featured abilities. So
it's their flavor, basically.
Right. She's not going to use any other marshal their mind for yeller. One, she's probably never going to need to roll a yeller check.
Yeah.
But she's got a mind of 7, so she's not ever going to use that portion. But the first one is pretty good because she has a posse full of sheriffs. So she literally just has to be within 6 inches of any of her posse members, and she picks up a +1 grit. So remember, like that +6 or the 6 grits, just kind of
Yeah.
Well, it's very easy for her to make sure her flight or move gets her within 6 of someone else from her posse, and
so you're easily looking at 7 just a base then, and you boost that with a fortune chip. Well, now you're looking at 2 more, so 9. It's easily. I mean, she's got enough fortune chips that she can do
just
that.
A little bit of extra tactical effort. She can bunker down like Wyatt.
Yeah. So she can be a pain in the butt.
My wife can go even higher using fortune, but
yeah.
Yep. But with all of her other things, very
yeah, we're
survivable.
just getting started, right?
All
So
right.
the next one is Dead or Alive, and this is another one of the lawmen go to. It shows up quite a bit in the lawman card. When engaged with a stunned or disordered enemy model, this unit gains the lethal weapon quality on all melee weapons.
No.
Now remember, we talked about her weapons. Her lasso, if she pulls someone out of coherence, they become disordered, right? Right. Her aspeton with stun puts stun on models, right? And then the disrupt from the storm blasters or storm throwers puts both on. So anyone she's shooting, she's potentially putting those conditions down to allow her melee faces to engage those damaged and hindered targets with lethal melee weapons.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she's got a lot of those. I mean, this whole posse, the theme posse, and you've played with it enough that it's all about certain models putting an effect on someone else, the enemy, and then their buddies coming in and just mopping up, basically.
Right.
It's like a setup.
Right. The posse is designed around you working together.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crowd control of this posse.
Right. Crowd control, synergy, the availability of using teamwork cards is very useful in this posse because it gives you that ability to, alley-oop, kind of like basketball. Someone throws a ball up to the net. Yeah. There's going to be someone there to be able to benefit from that ball coming. The same thing. She can against constructs and machines. She can lay down a bunch of conditions, and then 2020 can run up hammer hand and lethal hits. Furio, even, I mean, she's a huge finisher for the team because she's got combat mastery with her little foils. So there's a lot of that stuff, and that's one of the things as you play and you make sure you focus on these abilities, because that's where you can unlock that synergy or those special tactics that you may not see on the first glance.
All right, Tommy, you do the next one.
Headhunter. When this unit destroys an enemy model that has the unique special rule, this unit immediately gains a fortune chip.
So where she's going hunting. She's hunting for your name characters, all your faces and stuff. And, if she can get the rest of her posse they can stun or they can get some conditions on them and then she can finish them off. Well, she's getting fortune chips out of it too. So then she can just keep going. It's like a big cycle with her and whoever you take with her. You want to think about who's going to help her out type thing and vice versa. Yeah, because the fortune chips, they go quick. They go really quick. So any way you can get them back, that's big.
All right.
So I got the next one, flight or fight reaction. So this is a reaction when this unit is nominated as a target of a charge action. They may spend a point of fortune to immediately be placed D5 from the current position. Placement must be to a point directly away from the charging unit. Placement cannot be in passable terrain or cause the unit to be engaged. So she's basically, this is one of the newer reactions, and it's very thematic with any of the models that can fly. When did this first came, I think, a part of like the Warrior Nation, some of the flying units there, how just thematically it's like a bird, gets spooked, it flies away.
Not every flight character got it, but it basically becomes something they added to anyone they thought had like trained flight. So, or innate, like your birds, your your bosses that have flight ability, they pretty much, most of them picked it up because they're assumed to have been well versed in how to use jetpacks.
They're skilled, or it's like a natural ability.
Right. So it's basically a little bit of a defensive boost, because if you get charged, you can bounce away from the engagement of the charge.
Yeah.
Foiling that attack, basically.
Have you found using her that actually becomes a bit of a deterrent, where people don't want to charge her because they're like, I might just be wasting.
Right. So that's part of how someone's going to have to react to you. Like, what are they going to do? Are they going to want to try to get in a charge, or will they just move and then waste an action and then attack? Because that's how you get rid of that defense, is you just move up, don't charge, and then spend the next action to attack. It kind of prevents like you wasting a charge from like a hand unit, because they're not going to be able to follow up with the second thing typically. Yeah. So that's where it is. It may prevent them from using their low tier to limit characters trying to do that. It'd be interesting to see, like, what everyone else considers like, oh yeah, it's a deal breaker. Why bother charging her? You might just disappear. So the next one, Treasure Hunter. This is part of her, where she shines as a boss.
One of my favorite abilities.
+1 to the number of adventure cards in a player's hand. Should this unit be destroyed, you lose that card. This ability does not stack, so multiple treasure hunter skills in the force still only confers the +1 to the hand size total. So cards give you that little extra tactics. This is kind of a really good way of being one up on those tactics over your opponent.
Oh yeah, so, yeah.
Very useful.
All right, Tom, you got the last one.
Next
also,
up,
one of my favorites.
Tactical Brilliance. This unit gains +1 to reserve checks. Once per turn, the unit, when activated, may spend 2 action points to look at the top 3 cards from either their adventure deck or their action deck and replace them in any order on top of that deck.
Man, this is just nuts to totally set up for that. So many things you could set up with this ability.
Yeah.
I mean,
couple that with Jedric's ability to look at the top card, and be able to discard that top card, and then have her follow up with this. Those two things combined, you can set up some pretty good combos, or you can set up your next 3 actions, basically.
Yeah. Any of that early information is key to a game that has or can have so many short rounds. Typically, like five rounds can go quick, and being able to do that in a turn, you can set up all your guys around her for really getting some stuff done.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take a look at her theme posse. Brian, you've had lots of experience with this posse. I don't ever want to play you with this posse. Well, not with my enlightened anyway.
Now, mind you, in my experience, I tend not to play her theme.
Okay.
So her theme, and let's just discuss her theme first. Okay. So the Infernal Investigation theme posse. In a lawman or union force, instead of a faction posse, Helena Miller may take this theme posse. If 5 or more slots are filled with at least 1 unit in the posse, then all units in the posse gain prodigious common rule. Helena Miller is the only boss permitted in this posse.
Let's see if I can say it or not. Prodigious.
It did it.
Look at we're growing.
We're maturing as a podcast.
Right.
So, Brian, why don't you remind us all what prodigious does? Because it's been a while.
Okay, so prodigious is it's a common rule So when it comes up, check your card. That's where it's going to show up, or you get it gifted from a theme. But what it does is it changes the common +2 when you use fortune
to focus one of your abilities, right?
to focus. I'm trying to remember what they call focus as an ability. I know it's got a little catchphrase, but basically when you use focus to boost an action, it's normally +2. Prodigious changes that to +3. So, increase by a third your bonus from using your fortune for a combat action, move action. And so it's really very useful. So, but you have to fill up 5 of the 6 slots. So here's the limitation for the theme. The internal investigation theme posse is slots 1 through 5 is a lawman unit with internal affairs trait.
Okay.
Tom, how many models come in the infernal investigation box?
Let me see. There's Helena. There's Jed. There's 2020. There's Furio. There's what's her face with an eagle on her arm.
Ida.
Then Helena, obviously. So 6.
Well, you did Helena twice. You forgot Mercury. She's
Mercury.
That's
wearing
right.
a skull cap. She wears a weird skull cap.
Jumping over the box, right?
Yeah, she's hugging a box. So there's 5 faces in the box. So you have to bring every one of them in the posse.
Mm-hmm.
That gets you to about 855, right?
Yep.
So if you do, look what you're at. You're almost finished. You only got, 300 points basically to fool around with to finish out your 120 force, and you forced to take all of them, right? Not much flexibility. It's basically bring the whole team and squeeze whatever else you want to do.
For
the
that
last slot is bring an additional agent.
Which there's a lot of
just the
options.
trait.
Yeah,
right.
There's a lot of options.
All the faces in the Soul Hunters can come join you.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of agents in the Lawmen list, right? Nakano Gozen from the Celestials, she's an agent.
Lincoln's posse, I think they're all agents.
Yeah, the entire Secret Service from the Union, they're all agents. Carl Fredrickson, the Portal Master from the Union and Lawmen. He's a dual faction, but he's also an agent. You have Teddy Roosevelt is an agent.
Mm-hmm.
So you can bring a dinosaur along with the Infernal Investigations, if you want to.
Which let's face it, he kind of fits in with them better than anybody else.
What's that?
He fits in with them better than any other force.
Right. So, I mean, there's a lot of different options for that last 6 slot. Obviously, with only 300 points left, you're gonna have a small model count. The Infernal Investigations posse is best when it's teaming up with something else.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't have that many more points. So I tend not to do the theme posse just to pick up Prodigious. I tend to do a dual boss team up list where Helena brings some, and then the other boss brings some other stuff.
Yeah, I do a lot of that too now. I split up so I can get, a smaller posse, but it gives me more options to play with building. And then, of course, having 2 bosses on the table.
Right. So my usual go-to is Bass Reeves.
Okay.
And that's just because he's awesome and a great model, but he's also has huge utility.
Yeah, he brings a lot of different options that you normally couldn't have with just the straight lawman.
Right. So I tend to bring them both in a faction posse. Helena brings a couple of faces and then 2020 because he's support. And then I jump over and finish whatever else I want to bring over with Bass. And then he'll bring typically Nakano Gozen. She's awesome too.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite ones.
His Lawman posse you can use, I do like having another option for melee, and she's really good at the melee. And she also has a secondary treasure hunter in case you lose
it's back
Helena Miller. you're still going to have the ability to keep that 5th card on the table.
That's why I like running her with Marcus. Back
right. Yeah, I think we've even discussed that before. When we went over special abilities, we discussed this. Like, yeah, it's nice to have a second one just in case.
All right.
That's her theme posse. It's very useful, especially if you're going to team up with the Union, which is a great option, really. If you could, bring this theme with even just with 3 of the agents, and y'all know which 3, right?
I don't know. I don't touch that stuff.
So if you're going to take Helena over to the Union, you need to take Jedrick, 2020, and Furia.
I don't know. I feel like you really favor Jedrick over any other agent.
I don't know why.
I feel like you're really biased.
That came up today in Facebook, I think. Yesterday. Because I guess some of the new people don't know, but Mike kept hinting at it. Because some new players, like, I'm picking up the Infernal Investigations and blah blah blah, and so we're all telling him you need to do that, and then I get teased because I'm promoting Infernal Investigations as an option guy, and I'm like,
you know what? Tom, we can't be mad at him. If we had our Pony Express riders named Tom and Eric,
oh my God, they'd be in every single thing.
That's right. Every posse. I don't care if it's a wrong faction. They're going in there.
Yep. They're gonna be like,
now, mind you, when you build a model in your favorite game, you obviously going to put them in your favorite faction, right?
Yep.
It wouldn't have made sense if I created a model for a faction I didn't play.
Well, then I would get to play with them.
You can bring them along with the Soul Hunters.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
The Pony Express riders will be able to play with anybody because they just run up and they're like Candygram for Mongo. and then they ride away.
Yeah, Candygram for Mongo. That's good. I like it. But yeah, so it came up. I like Jedrick. I helped design him with the War Cradle team. So I have affinity to play him, one, because he's me, but I also really do like the posse that Stuart created around my character. I mean, I just benefit from having not just an affinity for the model, but then what they did with those around him is really cool. Except for Mercury. She's not my favorite. I don't think I've ever played her.
Yeah. Maybe
you should try her out and she'll surprise you.
I don't know. I don't think she can.
All right. Shall we jump into Lilith?
So one of the caveats on the Infernal Investigations is eventually we may see other Infernal Affair models surface in the Lawmen, right? So obviously that gives you more of an ability or chance to get to 5 slots and finish out that posse, because you'll have the extra things. And then it would also give you the ability to bring Jedrick in 2020 in one slot instead of separate.
Yeah.
Right? Because the main part, someone was like, oh, I want to bring legendary Jedrick in the posse, but really can't because then I can't get to my 5th slot and unlock prodigions, which is true.
Yeah.
So eventually we may see a 2-pack or maybe even some hands that have the affinity of Infernal Affairs, and then they will obviously help fill in those spots for you.
Yeah, get some.
That's what I'd like to. I'd like to see some hands with Infernal Affairs trait. Give a little bit of bulk to the.
Like some SWAT guys.
Yep.
Infernal Affairs SWAT team.
Hut.
Maybe even with some recovered spirit traps, maybe some proton packs acquired from their interactions with the Soul Hunters, that would be kind of cool.
So just give them some model count.
All right, let's jump into Lilith.
All right,
Lilith Hart, Outlaws, kind of getting to my flavor of probably the last year. Lilith is a boss, Outlaws human, female, She's a mercenary, and she also has flight. So this was why we called it the Jetpack Joust. So they're going to be flying, and as I'm spilling coffee all over myself, so I got too excited.
That's right. Everybody likes the bald girl with the ponytail.
All right.
She's edgy.
Have you guys noticed her skin pallor? Does she just look a little sickly to you?
Her art? Yes.
Yes, her just her skin pallor there. You know, she looks like she just got over the flu or something.
Well,
I will allow it.
Obviously, maybe there's some enlightened influence there. Maybe
It's just her skin's not the healthiest when she's flying around unprotected.
Well, she does have a face mask on, kind of like Doc.
Yeah, she's got a rebreather and some flying leathers. She should be fine.
It's fine. It's fine. All right. What else she got?
Continue on.
She's got 3 fortune. She comes in at 160 points. You know, kind of an average in the range of average boss. It's a little on the low side.
She's a cheap date.
Yeah. Probably because her posse is an expensive posse. So I think that's why she's not that big of an expensive boss.
Yeah.
She's bringing mostly faces in her posse. So.
All right. What kind of stats she has? Hers actually look very similar to Helena there.
Yeah.
She's got a quickness of 5, a mind of 6, a little bit lower. Aim of 6, her grit is 6, her fight is also 6, and a limit of 3. So, yeah, she's very comparable right there.
Yeah, almost identical. The mind is the only thing that changes.
Mm-hmm.
And really, there's very few things that's going to come into play for these bosses. You know, if they wanted to take a stroll through an enemy portal or two.
Mm-hmm.
Come into play, because that's what they would use to make those rolls. But otherwise, it's not really going to.
Yeah. All right, and then let's jump into her weapons. So she's got a little bit more options than Helena, though.
Yeah, she's got four weapons. The first one is sharp talons, which, when you look on the model, I think this is signified by the gauntlets.
Okay.
So probably kind of envision like some retractable blades on her wrists that can squirt out or whatever. So not bad to have. They have crit to lethal, pierce 1, rate of attack of 2. So each gauntlet kind of seems to have some kind of piercing thing on it. So that's probably what that's about. And then she's got 3 different ranged options. She's got juice to grenade, and these grenades stun. They indirect, so they may bounce about a bit, and then they blast out. They crit to overcharged, which that brings in hazardous. So they
that's pretty good. That's pretty good for crowd control. That's good for use in big chunks of hands and
right. She's not a softball player, so she's only throwing that grenade 6 inches. Pierce of 3 and a rate of attack of 1.
Pretty big piercing.
Yeah, Pierce 3 is great on these grenades. They're good.
Yeah.
And because they're juiced, they're bringing in the overcharge crit. So very nice. Her next weapon is familiar. Just discussed it because not only do these ladies have matching jetpacks, but they also have lassos. So she's got a lasso of her own. So again, tangle, special, refined, and crit on drag. 6-inch range, pierces 0, and rate of attack of 1.
Okay.
And she's an outlaw, so she's carrying 2 pistols as well. They are the atomic pistols, and the atomic pistols now are lethal with close work.
Close work, kind of go with the lasso.
They last on crit. Range 10, pierce 2, and a rate of attack of 2.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah, she's slinging death with those pistols. With
a lot of options. I like all her weapons. A lot of options there. All right, Tom. Common rules.
All right. Common rules: metal to quicken the dead, largesse, target priority, moving target, and dead-eyed.
Oh, so there's something a little bit different. She's got Deadeye.
Right. So, and that gives her the ability to ignore target priority. So when Helena's trying to keep away, she doesn't have to shoot nearby faces or hands.
Yeah.
She can just target.
Shoot who
directly.
she wants.
Right.
Okay. And then, so
All right, Tom, you already mentioned this one.
Yeah.
Filtered lungs. Unit ignores the disorder effects of the smoke screen weapon quality.
Right. So since she's wearing a mask, she's protected from the bugs flying in her mouth and smoke.
Yeah.
So basically that what it means is bring someone with smoke grenades and she can hide in the smoke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not be deterred by it at all. So
all right. And then she's got, now this is a little bit different special rule than I think I've seen before. It's actually called if taken in a lawman force, dead or alive.
right. So there's a couple of instances, especially with the outlaw posses, where if they're going to be lawmen, they pick up a lawman standard special ability.
Okay.
There's also a few flip sides that have, if you take this lawman in an outlaw posse, they pick up something different. So
Okay.
I think like Billy the Kid, depending on whether he's going lawman or outlaw, he has a different ability. So it picks one of the two,
All right. So when engaged with a stunned or disordered enemy model, this unit gains the lethal weapon quality on all melee weapons.
Right. So basically, it forces your grit check to be rerolled.
Okay.
Right. So it's nice to have. That's why you throw down the stuns and you try to throw down stun and disordered on everything, because all your melee attacks become harder for someone to defend against.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. And then here comes another familiar looking one.
Yep. This she got a jetpack and she's a natural born flyer. So she picks up flight or fight reaction. If she's a charged target, she can spend a fortune to
get the heck out of Dodge.
Be 5 inches. And the goal is it has to be directly away from the charging unit, and you can't land on stuff that you normally wouldn't be able to land on. And you can't pick a path that lands you engaged with another enemy. So
yeah.
There's a couple of little caveats.
All right, Tom, you want to jump in?
Yeah, next up is elusive. Backstab reactions against this unit suffer a -4 penalty. Pretty nice with that flight and everything. She can effectively just jump out of combat, melee combat, and not easy to hit her when she's doing it.
-4. That's huge. All right.
Yep.
What's the next
not
one?
much more to say about that.
No, it's huge. That's a good one. It's like, I'm like, man, I wish Helena had that one. All right, so the next one is check the bounty. Once during their activation, this unit may spend 2 action points to look at the top 3 cards from their adventure deck and may discard any number of them. Replace the remaining cards in any order on top of the deck. So this is very similar to Tactical Brilliance, except you can discard the ones you don't like.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like combining Helena and Jed's abilities.
Right. But it's just adventure cards. So that's the limitation on it. But it makes I really enjoy this new ability that they added in 1.09 because it does make sense for some outlaws to churn their adventure cards, because they're basically looking for advantage. How can I take advantage of this situation? And it kind of makes sense for them to take those risks, to churn out some cards that just not. Let me get rid of this one because it's not going to do me any good.
Yeah. And then her last one is quick draw. So once per activation, if this unit successfully hits with a shoot action, it may make a second one at the same or different target unit for 1 action point rather than the usual 2. Second shoot action may not be made with weapons with the heavy or complex. So kind of a cost saving ability.
It's literally huge for her because she's already at like, a low fortune. Well, not really low. 3 is kind of like the average.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
she basically picks up an extra fortune with quick draw.
Yeah. It balance. Yeah. It helps enable her to get more done without worrying about, burning through all her fortune.
Yeah. She's a flying gunslinger.
Yep. All right. So let's take a look at her posse, the Dead or Alive theme posse. This one is an Outlaws / Lawman force. Instead of a faction posse, Lilith Hart may take this theme posse. If all of the 5 slots are filled in the posse, then all the units gain the teamwork common rule, and Lilith is the only boss permitted in this. So teamwork common rule. Refresher, Brian, teamwork.
Okay, so teamwork basically says, hey, you just finished this activation, another face within, I think I want to say it's 8 inches.
I think so. It's 6 or 8 inches.
Can activate. So it's chaining your activations. So
yeah.
If you fill up the Dead or Alive theme with faces, which if you look is your only option.
Yeah.
If they all have it, you can literally chain the entire posse at the beginning of your turn.
Yeah, this is all about ganging up. This whole posse just ganging up, beating somebody down.
If you let Lilith basically chess you into a mistake, she can literally in one activation run the board.
Yeah.
And there isn't anything you can do about it.
It is 8 inches too. So it's stretched out quite a bit. So, depending on the size of your board you're playing on, whether it's a 3x3 or 4x4, your guys are going to be fairly close. They're not going to be too far apart. Especially when you take into account
tactical thing that you need to think about while you're setting this up.
Yeah. Don't get them separated where they're going to get far apart from each other and somebody's going to be left high and dry. I mean, you think about the terrain too. The terrain's going to come into play with that. So like you said, when you're setting up.
Yeah. Another posse that does that is, that has a lot of teamwork is the mounted conquistador.
Conquistadors. Posse. Yeah, that's right.
And I was facing off with my infernal investigators against the conquistadors and literally chained all 4 of the mounted conquistadors trying to take out.
So you got Jed, every Jed. They got every guy
he had
activated,
it out for Jed. He kept. I mean, and okay, so Jedrick survived the bomb of Antioch. Then he got so mad that I survived the bomb that he then sent 3 different mounted conquistadors out.
Wow.
And he survived all of that. I don't know how he did, but I just kept hitting my left.
That's the point at which you just concede. You're like, I'm not winning this.
Right.
That literal horseshoe up his butt.
Now, mind you, Jed did fall. He just didn't fall in that onslaught.
Man,
I think he turned around and cannoned Jed, and that was it. He hit him with the cannon.
So this posse, like you said, is pretty straightforward. It's you basically use what the box set comes with. You got the Wraith in 1, Long Tree in 2, Triple T is in 3, Thomas Tate Tobin. You got Jim Peterson, aka Deadpool, in 4, Broad Arrow Jacks in 5, and the Masked Marshal is in 6. So then you're done. I mean, you talk about a straight, easy build.
It has very little flexibility.
No, I thought some of the other posses we looked at where it was this unit, but this one,
this is the specific unique person is slot 1. And you cannot take Jim Peterson unless you've taken Wraith, Longtree, and Take.
No, I mean,
You
it's
have
like
to take
I want to use Lilith Hart, but I don't. I want to use her with other outlaws. The only other way I'm going to do that is if I take the generic outlaw.
Right. No,
posse.
again, but that's similar to how I use Helena.
Okay.
I rarely ever use her theme posse unless I'm going to take her in a union.
Because I like to see how she plays with
I like the
Jesse.
flexibility.
Or
I like the flexibility of bringing some hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
So same with Lil Hart. If you're going to bring in a lawman, she's bringing her go-to mercenaries.
Yeah.
But if you're going to play her an outlaw, the flexibility of being able to branch out and bring vehicles, bring hands, bring attack dogs. I mean, there's you lose all the flexibility if you just run her normal.
Yeah.
So that's the flip side of why also, again, we team these two up, because they have very similar limitations in their themes versus their faction posses. And most people will end up probably bringing her in a faction posse, because you can still bring the team.
Yeah.
But you'll have flexibility doing it.
So what are your thoughts before we have them square off against each other? They could both be in a lawman force. You could take both Rocketeers in the same lawman force, and you gain a lot of card shenanigans between Jed and Helena and Lilith.
So,
you get a lot of card shenanigans there.
What you're saying is, now why I made sure and bought her.
So let's talk about that. I thought you bought her because you buy everything, but
no. I really wanted her specifically because she is. If I bring her in Wraith, she can come into the lawman. Just the two of them.
Right.
I mean, I don't have to go deep into her posse, but think about it. For just 300 points, I could finish out the Infernal Investigation posse with just her and Wraith.
Mm-hmm.
I was just gonna say that. I'm like, huh.
And now all my Infernal Affairs people all have prodigious, and I've got a secondary flyer and one more person who can benefit from
two flyers in the same build. I don't think there'll be an objective that you couldn't get fast.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, you want to talk about putting the pressure on your opponent. Two people just going halfway across the board.
Right.
And they're pretty survivable people.
Yeah.
That you're not just gonna breathe at them and watch them go down.
No.
And they're doing card shenanigans to just power themselves, and power those guys around them. That seems like you could do a lot with this.
Right. Well, what it does is allows Helena's tactical brilliance to just focus on action cards.
Yep.
And then use Lilith Hart's card shenanigans for the adventure card things, and you're doing it with 5 cards.
Yeah.
So it's very, very nice. And like I said, using Dead or Alive, because Wraith is going to have it. So literally everybody on the board has Dead or Alive and benefits from, the stun that Furio and Jedrick are laying about, the disrupt and stun that Helena could put down on those who are automatons, machines, and creations. They're going to suffer from that.
Man, all right. So that's them kind of working together. What about versus though? What do we think about them one-on-one in the air, jousting?
One-on-one in the air. It's gonna be difficult.
Yeah, it's tight because they're very similar, with just an exception of maybe one stat or a weapon's a little bit different.
Right. So Lilith's lethal on her pistols gives her a bit of an edge, I think.
Even over, say, the linked Tesla pistols?
Because
you're right. Because the lethal won't come into effect to any of the linked ones.
Yep.
Okay.
And
That's true.
That rate of attack of 3. We've talked about this before.
More dice.
Rate of attack is king in this game. It really
remember,
is.
Lilith has her second ranged attack is cheaper.
Yep.
But Helena Miller can force in 10-man.
Yeah.
So she can go up in grit.
And she's got that extra fortune, which kind of balances that out. That's probably a wash because of that extra fortune. This one's close.
This one's close. I think, I mean, we're talking about the weapons and stuff, and they've got some give and take. I think something that separates them is the special rules. The treasure hunter, check the bounty, tactical brilliance. I think that's where those abilities is what separate them. And so you got to look at, what I think is more beneficial.
That treasure hunter, you're going to have the extra card in your hand.
It's more options.
And you have your choice between the decks that you're looking at the top cards on.
Yeah.
And putting the order in. So you're at +1, plus you can choose either deck, as opposed to only being able to use it in the adventure deck, but you can get rid of the garbage.
Yeah.
Right.
So you can kind of cycle through stuff. I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, Treasure Hunter to me is probably one of the bigger abilities in the game. Just having that one extra card can be so huge when you can spend the cards for an action. Just gives you more options. That I'm leaning towards that one just because of that.
Yeah. Well, and also here's another, and you take into account something that Helena Miller has over Hart is a melee option, because Helena can go in hand to hand with the Aspeton and lay down stun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Hart, but Lilith has those lethal claws though.
Yeah, but that's only on crit.
Oh, that's true.
When it happens, all she's got to do is save a grit check, and she's done.
Yeah, whereas the Aspetons carry on because of the stun.
Yep.
So, and then they become lethal. So every hit after the first time she passes a grit check is, coming at her hard. So I think tactically, like you said, the Helena, I think, edges up a little bit.
Just a little, yeah. It pains me a little bit, but I do like my Outlaws. But they're both. This is one of the tightest ones that we've had to call it. Yeah,
it is very. I agree. And what's neat is, with my Star Wars affinity, we have Boba Fett versus the Rocketeer.
Rock-a-hoop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think these are two really strong bosses in the game that, I mean, we're looking at them just one-on-one and just looking at them by themselves. Helena is edging out just that little bit. And then when you start thinking about the posse itself, it kind of opens up even more then.
Yeah, right. I think the synergies of the Infernal Investigations posse, I think, is bigger than the synergies of
just your mercenaries.
Right. Now that posse that group does have some, having Longtree in there is pretty big, because he can help with healing and stuff like that, which is pretty. I mean, that's very good. The Infernal Investigation doesn't have that, but when you got Tate Tobin, who's can launch in range attacks, so it's very similar to Ida. They have different features to do that task. You have a melee option in Broad Arrow Jack, isn't he like a melee guy? You got Jim Peterson as another really good melee guy.
Yeah.
with offsets, both Jedrick and Furio being melee experts. So they're very comparable.
Infernal may have more synergies. Who hits harder? I don't know. I almost want to say the Dead or Alive posse.
I think the Dead or Alive hits harder. They're a little more vicious, if you want to say it that way.
Well, okay, so McCain's using some basic pistols, so not very heavy hitting. But he also brings, if it's an outlaw force, he's bringing another instance of Check the Bounty.
Okay.
Then you have, and Brother Jack, he has heavy fists, so that's where he brings stun with the crit. But his pistols are actually really good. He's got revolving fan, close work, refined, displace. So his blaster pistols can push people back.
Yeah.
And then they crit fatal. And they're 10-inch range, pierce 2, and rate of attack 2. So his pistols are really good. For 100 points, his pistols are balls crazy good.
Yeah.
He's gambler, which could help, especially if they have someone who's got a shrewd strategy.
Yeah.
He's got treasure hunter of his own.
Yep, I was just saying he bounces
he's
out
got
that.
So if you keep him around Lilith, he picks up +1 to grit, fight, and mind. And his fight is 6 already, and jumps up to 7. His grit is 5, so brings him up to 6. So that's not bad. He's got rapport, so if you want to bring along some civilians, you can do that. He's got handhunter, similar to Helena, and he's got favor to bold. So if he wipes out the last model in an enemy unit, he gains a +1 check. Let's see, who else? The rest of these Wile E. Coyote. They spread them out all in here because they were...
Yeah, I was just trying to dig them out.
So the Wraith, I've always liked the model. He actually keeps being improved. He suffered a bit in earlier card versions, but he's coming back pretty strong now. For 110 points, he brings his own fortune, which is good. His pistols are kind of lame, but he's got a revolving shotgun.
His shotgun is nasty.
His shotgun is awesome. So it's ammo clip, linked, and is a torrent. So it's the template, but it's a linked template.
Yeah.
So you're getting that extra reroll. Ammo clip, you can bring brutal.
I mean, he's got the spray, but he don't have to pray.
Right. So it's pierce 2 with a rate of attack of 1, and just bring brutal. But he can also throw down stun,
Yeah.
So he can lay out stun to help with the Dead or Alive. He's got Dying Breath, which is really useful. Stone Cold Killer, he gets another action point if he destroys an enemy model. His limit of 3 still applies, but picking up extra action points is very useful if he can take someone out. He's got Trapper, so he can bring an additional booby trap. Got Gun Down, so blast away. He can shoot into combat, basically. He's Death Dealer. Each successful hit caused by this unit on an enemy unit that they are engaged with causes further automatic hit on that unit. So he's got a blade. He can basically hack and slash and just keep causing hits. Very nice. His blade is basic. So pierce 1, rate of attack 1. So it's like he has all these really good abilities with basic weapons.
Yeah.
And that's why he's just not quite as badass as he should be.
If he does a Stone Cold Killer into a group of hands and knocks out multiple hands, is he picking up multiple action points?
Yes, but his limit doesn't change.
Gotcha.
Right. So he can use those points to fuel the next hit if he still has limit available.
Gotcha.
So he could easily buff those out, focusing them and doing the same action more than once.
Typically, if he's doing that, he's finishes activation. He may have extra points he can't spend.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just be glad there's no mana burn. Okay, so Thomas Tate Tobin, he's got the golden pistol. So right off the bat, he's got a better pistol than the Wraith. That pistol has ammo clip, revolver fan, close work. He's brought a lasso of his own. He also has a golden rifle, which is also ammo clip, 20-inch range. So he's reaching out to touch somebody with ammo clip. So he can throw brutal on it. Pierce 2. Let's see. He also has Stone Cold Killer. If he goes in a Lawman Force, he can pick up Dead or Alive. He's got Headhunter, which is gain fortune if you take out an enemy model with unique. See, that's really, really mean. If you have a bunch of uniques that you're fighting, he can really kind of pink away and gain all this fortune. But he also is a trapper, so Lilith Hart posse can bring a lot of traps if you want to. And he also picks up shoulder to shoulder. But he has to have another friendly model who also has a rule. Otherwise, it's a waste.
Right. Yeah, his downside is every attack is ROA 1.
Right. Long Tree. All right, so Long Tree, he's the cheapest one of the group. He's only costs you 75 points. It's a miracle he's not tainted. I'm not really sure what's up there about. He's got a blade with fatal on a crit. He's got the drug pistol, which does stun, close work, and disorder. It's fatal on a crit, 10-inch range. He has Sawbones, which any friendly unit within 5 inches may reroll crit checks. Does not affect machine, artifacts, or structures. But Sawbones is really nice. It does put a lot of survivability on some of these his teammates. The downside is you got to be within 5 inches of him. So basically, you park him near the people you want to pick up that extra roll if you need it. He's a savant. So once per turn, he may spend 1 action point to select and examine up to 2 random cards in their opponent's hand of adventure cards. One of the chosen cards is discarded, which is awesome.
Yeah.
It's ooh, look at what you got. Oh, no, you don't. Okay, so Innervate, for 1 action point, he can select non-legendary enemy unit within 12. That unit must pass a mind check. If that unit fails that check, that unit loses D5 fortune chips. So basically, it's you run them up to a boss and go and drain their fortune.
Yep.
Basically, is wearing a mask.
He's a cheap jerk.
Rude. Okay, so Deadpool Jim. So he's got a grenade that has stun and blast. He also doesn't play softball. He can only throw it 6 inches. Blade. It's now a normal blade with a -1 and ROA 1.
I thought he was better than this.
He used to be better than this.
That might be why.
He actually got hit with a nerf in 109.
Okay.
So he carries 2 swords, but he's only got 1 on the card. He carries 2 pistols, and they both stay. So he does have juice pistols, but they're juice pistols. They used to be better pistols. Now they're juiced. Revolver fan, close work, overcharge. 10-inch range, pierce 2, rate of attack 2. He is now undercover, so that's new. That was 1.09. So basically, he can, come in from a reserve and hide away. Can't be attacked until he gets into play.
Okay.
The new undercover is you deploy at least 12 inches from an enemy unit that cannot deploy into a transport unless it is within 8 inches in line of sight. This unit cannot be nominated as an initial target of any attack by a human enemy, unless they first successfully pass a mind check. So basically, the opponent knows he's been dumped into play, and is like, "Ooh, I'm going to shoot this guy." But first, you have to make a mind check because you think he's a civilian and not the enemy. So that's basically what that does. He ignores the fatal quality and negative piercing modifiers when taking grit checks. That power is impervious. Split shot, that means he can target different units with each die from the weapon's rate of attack in a shoot action rather than having to resolve them to shoot. And he gets to use revolver fan quality without using action points, which is huge. He also has filtered lungs. And he's prodigious, so not bad, but he did get hit with the nerf.
Yeah. So maybe this is not as much harder hitting as I thought it was going to be.
No, there's not very many high pierce weapons. They used to when they were all in previous forms.
I think just because of some of the, the rule changes and stuff, I think I would look at taking Lilith in the generic outlaw posse. Just because you have better options of taking some of those hard hitting, characters.
Right. Now, one thing to consider is a lot of those models are lower costing.
True.
They're not a lot of big, high dollar brings. So her posse total, with forcing to take all six, she's not that. I mean, it's still not. I'd love to do the math. I haven't done the math, so
it almost might be the option of her taking that posse and then splitting it maybe with a beefier boss.
Yeah, bringing in a second boss with her makes sense.
Yeah,
you're not going to get to 120 on your own.
A partial fill out.
Right. You're going to have to bring someone else because she can't fill. There is no way.
Yeah.
To fill this posse to a 120 without bringing another boss.
Well, what are we thinking here? My heart says one thing, but I think
in theme versus theme, Helena and the Infernal Investigations comes on top, just based on knowing their powers and what they can do.
I agree, because I think long term game, the whole game, for planning and setting stuff up, she's better suited to that, where Lilith's posse is kind of, everybody is a little more unique in the way they work. Well,
Ida's got Pierce 4, 2020's got Pierce 4.
Yeah.
Jedrick's got Pierce -4. I mean, there's a lot of Pierce coming at a group that Pierce 2 is the highest other.
Yeah.
Except for the grenades that Lilith has. They're all running around with Pierce 2 or lower.
Yeah.
That's going to help inch them ahead a little bit. The stun you all and everyone goes to lethal with melee is going to hurt.
I mean, now granted, I think they're both fantastic, fun, bosses to play with. And being a dice and card game, you never know what's going to happen. But when it comes to what's on the paper, yeah, I think Helena inches out a little bit. What do you think, Tom?
I agree. I think that Helena inches out a bit. And
holy crap. I think this is the first time ever that we are unanimous. I think
I think we were unanimous on Tesla.
Were we?
I think we were, and you weren't happy about it.
What? I didn't vote the opposite way just out of spite.
you wanted it to be Eiffel so bad, and you just couldn't. You just couldn't.
I got him right here too.
So might be the second time. I just think she edges her out. I think, 1-on-1, I think she's got a couple of things that play in her favor with the rate of fire and with the treasure hunter. I think that really tilts it in her favor.
Yeah, every time I see treasure hunter, I'm like, "Ooh, where can I put them?"
So, Brian, you were asking before about the points cost for the posse. It's $7.95.
Okay, so
dang, that's low.
60 point difference.
Okay, so this is probably got to be our closest one ever. But yeah, just that little bit squeak. That's like one of those photo finish ribbon breaking pictures, I think, with these two.
And I think I would much rather play them together than against each other.
Yeah, I think Lilith wants that too.
So should I go get some music of why can't we be friends and play it in the background?
Right. That's Lilith's response, because she knows she'd go down.
Wow.
So she'd much rather play nice.
I don't know that I would say she knows she'll go down.
You know what though? That would be
pretty close.
A fun slap and hair pulling fight though.
Well, you bring it up. Helena's got the hair short, so there's not a whole lot of hair to grab. And Lilith,
compared to Lilith, she's got that
pretty long handle right there.
Oh, then I think that's the tiebreaker right there.
That's the tiebreaker. Yeah, exactly. Better grip.
Now just imagine those two holding hair and spinning in the air.
Well, all right. I think that's what we're going to go with. And as we've done in the past, we're going to put a poll up on Facebook as long as Facebook still lets me. I know there was some issues the last time I did it, and we'll let all the listeners vote on who they think is going to win in the showdown above the saloon, not in the street, but above.
Yeah.
And we'll go ahead and get out of the showdown, our back to showdown. Well, all right. I think we're going to close out the show, right, guys?
Yeah, I think we were going to keep this one short and sweet to get back into the swing of things.
Yep. And we mentioned before that, it's been a little bit of a dry spell for us, and we talked a little bit about, let's try something different with the show, and we wanted to try a little bit different format, like the shorter format, and we actually thought of some other projects that we'd like to try for all you guys listening. And one of the things we came up with was doing kind of like a little posse build project that we may feature in further episodes where we talk about kind of what we want to, we're thinking about building, and then we may try to do some actual filming of, the three of us all working on the same project, and painting and stuff like that. So,
right. So the goal is to do start to finish. All three of us have new posses, and we're going to go through. We'll film us building, chatting about the posses, the goal that we're going to go with on how we're going to play them. We're going to go through the priming. We're going to go through
something kind of relaxed and
theme design, and we're just going to try to
like a hangout. We're going to hang out and
see what we can get with the film and the audio. See how it breaks out.
Yeah.
And then put it in packaging for you guys to watch and join us on our, basically just open minded discussion.
Your journey, Tom?
My journey. Wait, I'm going to have a full posse I can field? What?
Oh, man. That our goal, Brian, is to make sure he gets a full painted posse that he can play with, not a primer gray?
Well, I mean, technically, I'm working on.
Oh, that's right.
Ouch.
But that goal was I wasn't supposed to work on them unless he was actually working on something while we were doing.
That's why you got the Iron Horse pennant.
Yeah.
So,
and
so I mean, I am not finished with them. I was working on Helena Miller's Jetpack exhaust. That was the last thing she needed. So I've been working on it during this recording. But because it's very similar design or theme with the jetpacks, I'm also doing Lilith's at the same time. I thought it was fitting since we're doing those two gals.
I think that's excellent.
I will have to say that we got to call Tom out because we're recording over Zoom now. We're really trying stuff different, and now we can see him. So when his mouth moves and we can't hear him, we can call him out easier now.
Awesome. Fantastic.
And just imagine, Tom, when we do start publishing these videos, everybody's going to call you out because they'll see it too. You think I'm going to edit that?
Oh, man.
I can resist it. It's been a while. But I think that's going to about do it for our Back in the Saddle episode. You guys, thank you for listening. We're hoping to try some new stuff for you guys, more content in these days where things are a little slim. And, you guys want to check out more stuff that we're doing, check us out on all the web places. Facebook, we haven't posted there for a while, but hopefully we'll start doing some more stuff again. Look for the little poll for our Smoke-Wagon Showdown. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube's. So we're all up on there. We got some old stuff. If you guys are new to the show and want to check out some of the unboxings, maybe our first attempt at video and Brian's instructional video of painting, that's up on there.
Brian's painting and my thumb.
And of course, if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to email us at blackhoofsaloon@gmail.com. So we got any closing thoughts before we get out of here, guys?
I've also been trying to be a little more engaged in Discord lately.
That's right.
Been keeping an eye on it a little bit more. So if you have anything to bring up there, if you have any suggestions, questions, we have a Blackhoof channel there in Discord, or you can send me messages. I do check it, if not all the time, at least I'm on there a few times a week.
Yep. We're pretty easily found on the interweb. If you guys want to just reach out and, say, hey, glad to hear you guys back. I mean, that kind of fuels us, kicks us in the butt to keep going again. But Brian, you got any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, it was good to be back in the studio or the saloon, and can't wait to see some reactions to the showdown and what comes next. If you haven't already seen it, the next pre-orders are scenic bases for your Wild West Exodus and Lost World Exodus models. There are 4 different variety and 4 different boxes. They are small and medium rounds, and don't feel nervous teaming up with a buddy, because they come in package of 60s for the small and 36 for the medium. So if you can't use all of them, you probably have a buddy. Y'all can go halvesies in. And be able to outfit all your smaller posses. If you're like me and Eric and have plethora, you probably won't need to team up.
That should be coming out soon. So look for that, you guys, on War Cradle's website. I think they're just in the distributor pre-order right now. So it'll be a little bit of time, but they should be out soon. But all right. Until next time, guys, I guess, ride with the sun at your back and always roll those big crits. We'll see you later. Come on, Brian, give it to us. It's been a while.
Yeah!
There it is.
Thanks for stopping by the Blackhoof Saloon, y'all. We hope you enjoyed your visit. Feel free to get a hold of us with comments or questions via the interwebs, and shoot us a telegraph at blackhoofsaloon@gmail.com. You can also find us on the Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Music for the podcast was provided for use by Ross Bugden and can be found at one of his YouTube channels, Ross Bugden Music or Ross Bugden Composer. Until your next visit, ride with the sun at your back and always roll those big crits.
And we can start. How do I want to do this? Because we got the little news bit to put in there. I'll just jump into it. Move my mic so I don't blast it. And get a sip.
I'll throw it on mute so you don't get Darth Vader.
Don't forget to take it off.
I will.
So, we discussed the narrative and why we mentioned both of the cards, but we separate them by talking about Wiccasansi. So it's kind of like it's not really a 3-way showdown, but it does let everyone know. It's like, dude, you have 2 options.
Yeah,
when
with
playing
walks.
a Warrior Nation walks, you can play her as the boss who has a theme, or you can play her as the face, and then you can underboss or up to a boss if you really want to use her as a boss.
We could make them have a 3-way. That would be interesting.
My gosh.
But what?
I'm not putting that one in the outtake.
We've got bush rangers hunting taint and oh my god! But this is too much. Oh my god!
I suppose during that you're going to be going. Woo!
Hey, they did it in Roger Rabbit. I don't see what's wrong with it now.